any questions, you can throw them out there or throw it in the chat. And we will post this later for anyone else that has questions. And I'm sure that Tyler would be willing to answer anything in the future I can bring to his attention or whatever. We'll keep the conversation going. So that's awesome. So just first of all, to introduce myself first, I'm the admin for a Thriving Singles Community, and that is just a Facebook group of single adult Christians, and then also influencers. So some of the influencers are married and some are single. The whole purpose of that group is personal development. We did just an 8-week detox diet recently, a challenge of having no sugar. There's no sugar, no, anyway, there's a bunch of stuff, no dairy. And with that challenge, it becomes, the idea is to actually bring on a new lifestyle for nutrition, eating nutritious and avoiding all the stuff that we're so addicted to. And I made it through to 12 weeks. I'm at 12 weeks, starting Monday, it'll be the 12th week. And I'm doing well. I would say I'm doing really well, but, and I feel great. I have all the results that I was hoping for, the energy and clarity of thought and everything else that I was shooting for.
Good.
But if we were to compare this to what the Alcoholics Anonymous says about if you fall short on one day or slip up, then you have to start over. So if that were the case, then I would be on day one because yesterday I had, and you're going to I'll have you tell us about this. I had frozen yogurt that said no sugar added. And I think I've seen one of your videos that said no sugar added is not necessarily no sugar or something like that. So maybe that's something you can talk to us about.
Yeah, it's just focusing on the wrong things.
Yes. And so yes, I'm doing well and I'm giving myself credit for that. But here's the thing, Tyler said, and this is the reason why I wanted him to come on and do this. I asked him if he could help me with this lifestyle change. It's a huge feat to attack. He said, getting used to your new lifestyle change won't happen overnight. You have to set realistic goals that are achievable. If you set unrealistic goals and don't achieve them within a couple of weeks, you will become discouraged and want to quit. And this is a lifestyle change. It's not a race. And that's good to remember. It was actually very encouraging. So I want to hear Tyler's story. He is Tyler LaMarche. Am I saying that right? I want to make sure I'm not doing it right. He's a fitness expert and health and fitness expert, and he's the CEO of Region Life Fitness. And he's going to teach us how easy it is to be fit and healthy. So Tyler, go ahead and take over. Tell us your story, ancestral, what ancestors used to eat, and how we can go back to doing some of that, and then actually what it takes to get the results that we're hoping for.
Of course. Thank you. So yeah, I'm CEO of Region Life Fitness. I started this business a little over 2.5 years ago. I've been through a lot of life challenges that got me to this point. I've spent most of my life being just super shy, super anxious, not even getting close to living my true potential. And a lot of it was because of exactly my diet, how I was eating. A lot of it's all connected. Your mindset, your energy, libido, it's all connected with mindset and diet. I was just holding myself back completely because I didn't know how to eat correctly. So I got into this because of my own issues that were really holding me back. And when I learned how to truly eat correctly, exercise correctly, it really became very clear. And I started really making some serious changes. My family started seeing it in me, my friends, and then just experimenting with myself, my friends, my family. I really started learning how to really do this stuff. So my story, my entire life, just the most severe brain fog you can ever even imagine. So my brain, it felt like a high on marijuana. I felt like that all the freaking time. And some people actually can think clearer while being high on marijuana, but it was not the case for me. So I was literally had so much brain fog. I either could not think of anything at all. My brain was just totally blank, or it was just too many thoughts racing through my head at once. So I just had no control over my brain. So school was the biggest thing. My teachers ever since middle school, I was actually held back in the first grade, which is pretty hard to get held back in the first grade, because what are you just missing out on, like ABCs, memorizing that or something? I don't know, but I just could not comprehend anything in school. Like reading, taking tests, memorizing things. I could not do it whatsoever. My brain was just not working clearly. I couldn't do it. I would just have a thought come in and it would just come right out. So in one ear, out the other. I just, nothing could be comprehended. It just frustrated my teachers to no end. Middle school, my teachers actually wanted to put me on Ritalin. They had a lot of like after school meetings with me and my teachers, just saying like, man, like Tyler, he just can't pay attention. He's really disruptive in class. He can't sit still. Like something's going on. We have to do something about this. So they wanted to put me on Ritalin. My parents said, absolutely not. We're not going to put my child on something like that. And I'm very glad they didn't. So I started doing more after school extra help classes. Just I don't know if my parents paid for this or if it was just something the school offered, but I got some help from teachers after school and other, I think, moms who actually did some tutoring on the side. They helped me, and it really helped me out a lot. I actually was able to spend a lot more time with them, learn the stuff I needed to. But everything I did, it was way harder for me than most people. Most people can soak up information a lot quicker than I could. For me, it was just repetition and repetition. I had to just make it stick somehow. So I forced myself while having brain fog to be able to start comprehending things better, to start actually being able to learn, but it still wasn't that great. And this was throughout middle school, high school, college. It just never really stopped. So I was kind of more of a class clown in middle school, super loud, loved to be in front of the class, make everybody laugh. And then, but I only was in a school of about 100 kids. So it was very easy because I knew everybody. I was very comfortable with everybody. And then when I went to high school, I went from a school of 100 to a school of about 1,100 to 1,300 kids. So this was a huge shock for me. I almost knew nobody there. So I became extremely withdrawn and really shy. So I went from being class clown to like the most shy guy you've ever seen. So getting called out in class, the most scary thing to me ever. My face would turn bright red, had no confidence. Girls talking to me, I would just totally shy away, had no idea what to say. It was awful. So my ADHD started really kicking in. Brain fog just kept getting worse, and severe learning disability that just continued. Malnutrition. I was super skinny, very lean. I just wasn't getting enough protein in. I didn't even know about diet. Like you had to get a certain amount of protein in, how to get a certain amount of nutrients, what those nutrients would come from. So I was super skinny, super nervous, super anxious, and it was all diet related. And I came to find that out later. Always had stomach pain, always had gas. I was gassy literally 24/7. It just wouldn't stop. And in my family genetics, we have horrible immune systems and horrible digestive systems. So I inherited all that. And of course, I was just fueling the fire, making it worse with the foods I was eating. So we weren't necessarily eating a standard American diet, the typical food you see most people eating. We were eating a little bit cleaner, but it still wasn't ideal for my body. And I didn't realize that for a long time. So yeah, super bad social anxiety, always a pit in my stomach. I couldn't stand being singled out, people looking at me. I would just, my face turned red. It was so bad. I would go to grocery store clerks, just paying for my food, and I couldn't even look at them in the eyes and talk to them. My face would just turn bright red. So my life was like this until basically my mid-20s. It was horrible. And I went through periods of depression, just like, why am I like this? Why can't I pay attention in class? Why can't I learn anything? What is wrong with me? Something has to be wrong with me. And yeah, I just kept getting deeper and deeper in depression. It was spouts of depression, and it was also spouts of just, I had kind of a happy-go-lucky personality. I just started accepting it, just like, I'm just dumb. I can't learn anything. I'm just a goofy guy. I'm just always going to be this. So that's just what it is. So diets I tried veganism for a while, vegan, vegetarian, tried omnivore, pescatarian, tried a little more meat-based with still quite a bit of fruits and vegetables. Until now I'm mostly carnivore-ish. So it went through going all through these cycles where I started really truly learning about nutrition. So going back to my family, so I had my brother, super bad immune system. I had the really bad digestive issues, brain fog. My dad had like really weak bones, like osteoporosis really ran strong in his family. My mom had actually a tumor near her uterus that was cancerous. And because of correct diet, she was actually able to get rid of that tumor in a little over a year. So back then we still didn't know how to eat truly that correctly. We were still more plant-based, but she started learning more about like herbal plants, a company called Sunrider, the most dense herbal plants on the planet. And we were actually able to we were on that for a while, really dense nutrition from a plant source, still not nearly the same as animal-based nutrition, which is what I'm gonna explain in a little bit. But we were trying all these diets, trying all these herb supplements, going through all these phases and just trying to learn how to fix ourselves. My ex-wife, she had leukemia. She had about stage 3 or 4, ready to get cancer treatment. And we were actually able to get her cancer free in about 6 to 8 months. Now, if I knew what I knew now, I could have fixed her even faster. So it doesn't matter if you have cancer. Now, some people are really, really severe into cancer. Like there is a point where, yes, I think medical intervention is going to be the best option. It just depends kind of how deep you are. But even if you have cancer, autoimmune diseases, diabetes, low testosterone, severe hormone imbalance, you can fix all of this with correct diet. And I'm going to tell you how. So there's just to explain a little bit about my family and my wife. We were all super jacked up, and we didn't know exactly how to fix this until we really started digging in more to nutrition and what that exactly meant. So all throughout my life was dealing through all this. I just accepted it. I was a very physical person. So I was an athlete all throughout middle school, high school, and a little bit I didn't do too much college, but a little bit into college. Always an athlete, always a very physical person. So I just thought, because I couldn't comprehend things, my brain didn't work properly, I was just a physical person. That was it. That's just who I am. So I just accepted it. And it wasn't until later till I realized, wow, I'm actually kind of somewhat intelligent. I can actually comprehend information. My mind is actually starting to work like a computer. And I'll tell you about that in a little bit, how my mom why she actually started eating more ancestrally animal-based, because she saw the results in me. But yeah, so eventually I was in my late 20s and I was just accepting everything. It's going to be this way. I'm a physical person. I'm just always going to be doing a physical labor career. That's just how it is. I actually wanted to be an engineer in middle school and high school, but my brain just would not work. Clearly, I couldn't take the math courses I need to be able to take to be able to get the degree. So I just gave up. I just said, you know what? I'm gonna get out of school. I did a little bit of college. It was just kind of the pre-AA classes before you actually choose a major and everything. So I was just doing that, just get a good idea of like, maybe I can find something I can get into to get out of like the physical labor. But I just couldn't. So I accepted it. I just said, you know what, my family business, building fences, I'm just going to be sticking with this forever. That's just how it is. I'm a physical person. I'll be doing a physical career the rest of my life. So I tried my own landscape business for a little bit. I worked with my dad building fences. I did drywall for a little bit. I tried to be a policeman. I tried to be a firefighter. Same thing. When I tried to go through become a firefighter, I had to do the EMT course. I could not memorize and comprehend what was inside that book and listening in class during the courses, so I could actually pass the test and become an EMT or firefighter. And then with police officer, the stuff they see on a daily basis and going on the ride-alongs, I just decided, man, like 90% of the calls is just domestic dispute, violent stuff, and just arguments. You're just going to like grocery stores, meeting people who are having arguments and trying to break up the argument. So there's a lot of silly things like that. So that kind of got me away from wanting to do those things. And I just accepted. So throughout all my 20s, up until about 28, 29, I just accepted. I'm just going to be doing physical labor for the rest of my life. That's just how it is. So I was building fences in my family business for a very long time. But I was also have little bouts of just, man, there's like got to be something better I can do. Like I know there's something else I can do, so I don't have to be stuck with physical labor for the rest of my life. I don't want to be my dad, over 60 years old, still working his ass off out in the heat, the rain, the snow. I knew there had to be something better. But every time I thought about like, what is there better I could do? Like, what could I possibly get into? I would think of something that's like, no, I can't do that. There's no way. There's absolutely no way I can do that. And then some days I go, no, you can do it. There's got to be something. We can look into different things. And then the next day, no, just getting super down on myself. So I was in a constant battle with myself most of my life, saying, I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm a victim. Everything's always happening to me. It's me against the world. Everything I get my hands on, everything I try, it's just going to go bad because it's me. So I had that victim mentality, and it was really destructive. So eventually I met someone in my late 20s, about 28, 29. His name is Dr. John Jaquish. He is inventor of OsteoStrong and X3. So OsteoStrong is bone density building equipment. So that actually corrects osteoporosis. You can find an OsteoStrong pretty much every state in the US, I believe. They're everywhere. So that is OsteoStrong preventative, and it actually helps get rid of osteoporosis when you have it. So he told me about that. What was that?
I didn't even know that something like that existed.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome. Tell me his last name again, John.
Jaquish. So Jaquish, Jaquish.
Okay.
Jaquish. Yeah. So I met Dr. Jaquish. He told me about OsteoStrong. He told me about X3 bar. So X3 bar is variable resistance. So it's really the heaviest bands you've ever seen in your life. Most of the time when you think of resistance bands, they're just like a tiny little joke, super thin, not very much resistance. They're mostly just for kind of healing injuries, just kind of helping you get a little movement, a little bit of resistance to heal injuries. But these bands were unlike anything I'd ever seen. So it's really heavy bands, a steel bar, a small Olympic bar, and a steel plate. So he did a demonstration in front of me showing me the X3, and I was already kind of open to it. I'd been weightlifting for a long time. My joints were starting to hurt. I just wasn't seeing the results I had been hoping for doing weights for over 10 years. I was doing a typical huge caloric surplus. I was always skinny, so I was always trying to bulk up. So just doing a crazy caloric surplus, eating 5,000 to 7,000 calories a day. I'm not even kidding. I was literally eating every 3 to 4 hours, a huge, massive meal. So my stomach was just getting even more destroyed. So as if my digestive issues weren't bad enough, I just kept making them worse, kept making the brain fog even worse. So eating every 3-4 hours, crazy caloric surplus. And then he showed me, talked about the carnivore diet. And I was just like, what is this? That's crazy. How could you just eat meat? How is that healthy for you? Who could even possibly do something like that? So he told me about the carnivore diet. And then he told me about the X3 bar. He actually gave me an X3 bar. I took it home, tried it for like 8 weeks. I was completely sold. I was like, I am never going back to weights ever again. So the thing about variable resistance versus static weightlifting is that static weightlifting is the same amount of weight. You have 3 ranges of motion. You have your weak range of motion, your mid range of motion, and your strong range of motion. You're 7 times stronger in your strongest range of motion than you are on your weak range of motion. And you're also more susceptible to injury in your weakest range of motion. So say for a bench press, you're starting out 315 pounds here in the weakest range of motion. This is where you're going to hurt yourself. This is when your joints are more susceptible to injury. So with actually the X3 bar and variable resistance, it's lighter here and it gets heavier because it's a band. As it stretches, it gets heavier. So it's lighter here where you're more susceptible to injury. And as you stretch it, it gets heavier and heavier. And then you're spending more time training in the strongest range of motion where you're going to get more growth out of it. So instead of it being the same way throughout the entire movement, once you're done, you're done. Like there's no strong range, mid range, weak range. You just go until you can't even move and you're just done. There's no deep level of failure. With X3, it's 3 ranges of motion. You're going to full failure, and the strongest range of motion, as many reps as you can with those full range reps. And then you can't go that far. Now you're going mid range reps, fatiguing in the mid range, and then you fatigue in the small range. So you're not avoiding the small range of motion. You're just getting back to it later. And then you fatigue in the smallest range of motion until total failure. And that deepest level of failure, that releases more hormones, more growth hormone, more testosterone. So you actually lose body fat quicker and gain lean muscle mass faster. So what I started learning from him is it's not about calories. It's not about calories in, calories out. It's not about crazy caloric surplus to gain muscle mass. You can't force feed muscle. It's about changing hormones. Changing hormones is the biggest thing for trying to lose weight and trying to gain muscle. If your hormones aren't changing, if your hormones aren't correct and ideal and fixed, you're not going to lose weight properly and you're not going to gain muscle mass efficiently enough. So he got me super into the X3. I started thinking, man, I love this thing. Like, I'm so pumped about this. I knew there had to be something better out there. I just didn't know what it was. And then I started like looking in the carnivore diet more. I was just like, I was still thinking, this is crazy. How could you possibly eat just meat? And I started trying it. I wasn't doing a complete carnivore. I was still having some of the rice and vegetables and sweet potatoes I was doing before. And it actually took me a little bit of time to actually go complete carnivore. But I researched it. I researched the crap out of it. I understood ancestral eating, which is what I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Eating like our ancestors, eating like we had eaten for thousands of years prior to this last couple hundred years, whereas everything's just loosey-goosey, eating processed foods, fast foods, vegetable and seed oils, grains, just all this crap that we're not meant to be eating. So I got really into it, dug into the carnivore diet, dug more into X3, and I was just like, man, I'm excited about this. I'm going to train people on this. This is going to absolutely change my life, and I want to change as many lives as I can with these new aspects that I'm learning about. So that's when I started getting into online training. And I've worked with well over 100 clients by now, just having amazing transformations in just 12 weeks with these very awesome methods I'm going to talk about. So yeah, the trial and error with myself. I've tried every diet out there. I've tried multiple exercise techniques. I've never found something better than an animal-based diet and the X3 bar. It is the answer to get in shape as quick as absolutely possible. And weightlifting, most people think like, I'm going to work out hour, 2 hours in the gym. That's what's necessary to lose fat, gain muscle. It's not about the time. It's about the quality of exercise in the shortest amount of time. So X3 bar, it's 1 set, absolute fullest, deepest level of failure you can get to. So it's a minimum of 15 reps to 44 reps, and until you reach that full failure, releasing more hormones. So you're going to lose fat quicker and gain muscle mass faster. Weightlifting, you have to do multiple sets because it's not the same level of quality stimulus. You actually have to you want to stay with like 3 to 4 sets of everything because it is not as strong of a stimulus. but you actually don't want to do more reps than that or sets than that, or you're actually going to break down too much muscle tissue. So if you were to do multiple sets with X3, you're actually going to break down muscle tissue. It's too much. It's already, you want the stimulus. You don't want to actually break down, like they say, we've heard it so many times, break down the muscle fibers and the fibers grow back bigger on top of each other, recover themselves, repair. You're only sore because you're breaking down muscle tissue. You actually don't want to try to break down muscle tissue. You want to give your body the stimulus for growth, and then it grows. You want to force the hormonal reaction, and then it's going to grow. So you don't need multiple sets. You only need multiple sets with weights because it's not a very strong stimulus. With X3, it's the strongest stimulus possible, so that one set is all you need. So it's very time efficient. So I'm not kidding. I work out. It's just because of the breaks I take between. You could get it done in 10 minutes if you really wanted to. If you took like a 30-second break between each exercise. I take roughly 2-3 minutes break between each exercise, and it takes me roughly 20 minutes. So I look like I do from 20 minutes a day of exercise. That is it. I don't do cardio. No running, no cardio, no anything extra. I do a little bit of Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy. I do his circuit that helps with like my tibia, ankle mobility, knee mobility. So I've been working on stuff like that. But really, all my resistance training is only about 20 minutes a day.
So cool. Are you a personal trainer too? I need to ask that. Do you help?
Yeah. So I'm an online health and fitness coach. So I help people with diet and I help people with exercise. So the whole thing there. But yeah, so super quick. You don't have to be doing all this cardio, 2 hours of cardio a day. Absolute waste of time. When you're actually doing cardio, you upregulate cortisol, your body's stress hormone. So that actually makes your body hold on to more body fat, because fat is a fuel source that allows you to go those long distances. You don't want to give your body that signal to go those long distances and want to hold on body fat. You want to get rid of body fat. So how you tell your body to get rid of body fat is short, intense, get in, get out exercise. So with X3 bar, it's short, deepest level failure, shortest amount of time, change hormones. That's all you need. And if you want to do running or something, you don't need to do long distance cardio. You want to do interval training. So say like an exercise bike, 10 total minutes, 1 minute, 100% effort, 30 seconds, 50% effort, back and forth until you hit 10 total minutes. That's it. That's all you need. And that is, even if you didn't do the X3, even if you didn't do weightlifting, that is enough to actually get your body to change hormones and lose weight just from that alone. It's actually very, very simple.
Wow. That is really good to know. And I'm going to have to rewind this or go back and get more information about the building mass. That's what I'm wanting to do.
So change hormones, you're going to build mass. And that's with exactly what you eat. That's the level of degree of exercise you're getting to, the deepest level of failure. That's sleeping better. And also fasting. I can talk about fasting a little bit too.
Yeah.
So fasting, it's all about changing hormones, remember? So fasting, your body goes through autophagy. It upregulates hormones even more. So after 12 hours of having no food, your body actually starts going to autophagy. It's starting to replace and recycle cells. It really starts kicking in gear about 24 hours fasted, really starts even more, 48 hours, 72 hours. So what you're doing through autophagy, your body is recycling and replacing cells. The body does its most important work in the fasted state when you're not eating. When you're constantly eating all day long, you're always keeping your body busy, always giving it something to do and distracting it from actually replacing, replenishing, recycling cells. So your body, like when you have a test to take, when you have a speech to give, when you have anything you have to use a lot of brain power, your brain is actually going to run a lot better off of ketones than off of glucose, just from eating like carbohydrates or food right before you do an activity. Wow. So your body's going to do its most important work, healing, replenishing itself, and thinking more clearly when you haven't been eating for a while. So 24 hours, your growth hormone is upregulated significantly, and testosterone goes up. Even in women, testosterone is going to go up as well. Obviously, your testosterone is not going to go up nearly as much as men does, but it's going to go up. It's going to raise. 48 hours into a fast. Growth hormone is about 5 times its normal baseline levels. Testosterone also raises as well. You start getting into a 72-hour fast. That's a very long fast. So at that point, full autophagy is happening. Almost every cell is regenerating, replacing itself, especially your immune cells, T cells. They've completely regenerated themselves. And testosterone and growth hormone are at an all-time high. So at that point, you are metabolizing body fat and you're gaining muscle because of those upregulated hormones a whole lot quicker. They actually did a study, quite a bit of studies. The participants weren't even working out. They were just fasting. And because of the fasting, they're actually becoming leaner and showing more muscle growth. So because of the upregulated hormones, because of the fasting state, they're actually able to naturally put on more muscle. It's a pretty crazy thing. And then you start getting into dry fasting. So one 24-hour dry fast is the equivalent of a 72-hour water fast. So because you're dehydrated, it's very hard to do. Trust me, all my clients do it. I work them up to it very slowly. It's very difficult. It sounds scary, but because your cells are not surrounded by water, the body doesn't have the water to break down first before it starts breaking down the fat cell. So if you're dehydrated, it just goes straight to the fat cell, breaks it down, you metabolize your own body fat, and that's how you start breaking down the cells even faster. So water, doing a regular water fast, it takes a little longer to start breaking down the fat cells because they're hydrated. And then when you're dry fasted, because there's no water attached to it, it eats it up so much quicker. So you get the benefits of a 72-hour water fast in just a 24-hour time period with a dry fast. So you can do one 24-hour dry fast a week, two 24-hour dry fast a week, one 48-hour dry fast a week. And this is until you get pretty lean. One 48-hour dry fast is pretty much as intense as it gets. That's gnarly.
Wow. So what dry fast and water fast? To me, that sounds the same, because fasting to me means no food and no water. But is that wrong?
So a water fast is no food. You can still drink water. A dry fast is no food and no water whatsoever, just totally nothing.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then what I get my clients to eventually, after I get them to the dry fasting stages, is I get them to rolling 20-hour dry fast. So within a 20, so say you eat and drink between the window of 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. and then you stop eating and drinking until 2 p.m. the next day. And you just keep doing that every single day until you get super lean. So I play with all these fasting stages. I change their macros. I get them eating the correct foods. I change the eating windows, start giving them the fasting stages, and I start getting the really intense fasting stages of at the most intense, one 48-hour dry fast a week, or rolling 20-hour dry fast. And that really starts helping them metabolize body fat a whole lot quicker. So fasting also a huge benefit in fat loss and muscle gain.
So let me fill this in. I hope this doesn't distract anything from what you're saying. I have a question for that. So if they're doing this massive fasting, I know I've heard that's not the safest unless we have someone like you that's helping us, right? So on the times when we're eating, is that when you're eating just the grass-fed meats? And like, I'm sure that when you are eating, it has to be really high in nutrition.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll talk about what an animal-based diet looks like, but before, this is scientific. It's not just like, oh, I just don't feel like eating for 12 hours or 18 hours or 36 hours. It's just random. This is all scientific. It's 24-hour, 48. It's scientific chunks. So before the fast starts, you have to get all the protein in for the day before the fast starts. And then you do the fast coming off of the fast up until 2 to 3 hours before bed. Then you get all your protein for the day again. So you're telling the body, here's all the protein for the day. We're getting ready for the fasted state. Do the fasted state, refuel on water and protein, everything again at the end. And you're just giving your body designated times that this fast is going to be.
Yeah, that's good. Cause I would be afraid of like malnutrition unless I knew what I was doing. We'd have to like pull up one of your videos and figure out.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about malnutrition. Fasting is one of the healthiest things you could possibly do for yourself. So people think like, I need to be eating a certain amount of time. You have to eat, don't get me wrong, but it's really good to fast too, but scientifically doing it like I said. So fasting is very beneficial for your body because we're always eating, we're always activating our digestive system, and that's distracting your body from doing its most important work of recycling and replacing cells. You have to give the body time to recover, to regenerate, and that's when you start getting the best results. So fasting is actually very safe. Just don't go right into like all of a sudden I'm never doing it, 72-hour fast, or never doing it, going to the dry fasting. That's going to be hard. It's not dangerous, but it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a lot more uncomfortable. That's why I work my clients slowly from the beginning to the more intense ones as we go through the process. So it's a lot easier on their body. They're more acclimated to it. Did you see the question from Lenora? No.
She just said, can you explain the schedule again, if you don't mind, or would you prefer that we wait till the end? It's up to you if you want to answer that now.
Yeah, I can answer that at the end, but we probably might have to do another one because there's a lot to fit in.
Yeah.
But let me start talking about ancestral eating.
Okay.
So ancestrally, so we only know nutrition from what we've seen in our lifetime. The past couple hundred years, obviously most of us have been around for the last couple hundred years, but the lifetime we have seen, we just see all the processed foods, the fast foods, the packaged foods. We see like monocrop agriculture, all the grains, the fruits and vegetables. Meat, we've been told the old pyramid ways of eating. We've been told whole grains, number one, more fruits and vegetables, less dairy, more white meats, and then red meat is the lowest on the category. It's literally opposite of that. If you take the nutrition advice you've heard, you flip it upside down, red meat number one, animal organs number one, and then you go into like eggs, corn and soy-free eggs. Try to cut out grains, actually have the least amount of grains as possible, less fruits and vegetables, and actually dairy is high on the scale as well. Now, as we were talking about earlier, dairy is hard for most people to digest because they don't have the enzymes required. We've lost the enzymes required to break down dairy properly. Dairy is actually very good for you. So if it's 100% grass-fed dairy, very good for you, lots of benefits from it, but you have to work yourself up to it. So make sure it's clean, just not factory farm cows dairy. That's not good dairy. So that's got the hormones, the antibiotics, the grains that those animals are eating, sprayed with pesticides, insecticides, glyphosates. You don't want that kind of dairy. You want to eat animals 100% grass-fed, and you want the dairy from 100% grass-fed animals as well. They're eating what they're supposed to have always been supposed to eat. 100% just all grass, no grain. They're not supposed to eat grain. So the reason why when grain-fed animals get sick because they're eating grains, they're not supposed to be eating grains, that's when they give them antibiotics because they're sick, they're giving the antibiotics to make them better because they're feeding them stuff they're not supposed to be eating. So factory farm cattle, it's bad for the environment more. It's bad for the animal. It's bad for you because you're getting all the glyphosates, pesticides, insecticides from all the grains. You're getting the hormones, antibiotics in them that they're getting into the meat. The meat looks stressed out. It's a different quality texture, different color. It's just not good quality meat. You want 100% grass fed. So with dairy, you have to learn to get the enzymes going in your body again. We have good and bad bacteria in our gut, and you have to just start adding it back in and allow your body to start adjusting. So 100% grass-fed cheese, Grass Milk brand, absolute best brand out there. You start with a little bit. Just start with like a half an ounce, a quarter ounce, just really tiny. I got to let in somebody real quick. Just really small amounts. And you start working in day after day, or every other day, just a little bit more until your body starts producing the enzymes that are going to make you capable to absorb that dairy. And then it's going to start getting easier for you. And like I told you, I used to be completely lactose intolerant. Every time I had dairy, my stomach would start bubbling. I had a lot of pain, a lot of gas, inflammation. Now, because I've healed my gut, I can have a whole block of cheese in a day if I really want to, and I feel completely fine. No mucus, no bloating, no stomach pain, absolutely game changer. Wow. So dairy is a good thing. We've just been told it's not, and we've been told the wrong sources to get dairy from. So it can be a very good thing.
The clean ones, the grass-fed ones.
Yeah, exactly. So ancestrally, how did we used to eat? Well, I'm going back to hunters and gatherer days. Most people don't think about this. So last couple hundred years, how we've been eating is just the smallest part in our human history timeline. It is like such a small, insignificant piece to the whole timeline of human evolution and the time we've been on this earth. For the majority of our time, we have been hunters and gatherers. We didn't have all this technology around to do monocrop agriculture, faster, easier hunting techniques. We didn't have all that. We were hunters and gatherers. So back then, if you eat like we ate back then, you're going to be a lot healthier. And most people think, well, our ancestors didn't really live that long. And there's an argument for that. But the reason why they didn't really live as long is because life was a lot more dangerous. They were around predators constantly, lots of animals, drinking water. You got to be so careful. If there was a dead animal in the water farther down the stream, all that is going to be inside the water, all that bacteria, all the disease, and then you drink that water, you're going to die. So we had to be really careful where we're sourcing our water. There was hunting accidents, falling off cliffs, falling out of trees, wars. It was a super dangerous time to live back then, but we were actually healthier human beings. And we were healthier because we were eating what we've always meant to be eating. We weren't eating all the processed crap that we have nowadays. So what I mean by ancestral eating, we used to hunt, we used to gather, we used to eat the muscle meat. Red meat was number one. Red meat is the most easily bioavailable, digested meat on the planet, animal protein. So red meat, number one. Then you start getting into the white meats and fish and everything. So larger the animal, the higher the nutritional value. So we ate the muscle meat, we ate the organs, we ate the fat, the blood, the bone, everything. Nothing in the animal is wasted. I know it sounds gross when you say all that, but that is how we always ate. And that is where we got the most dense nutrition. In our human evolution, that is what got us to the brain development, our stomachs starting to shrink. We had bigger rib cages when we actually were, well, if you believe in evolution, like we were more ape-like, we had wider rib cages. And as our stomachs started getting more acidic and the rib cages started coming down, we started being able to have more acidic stomachs, digest meat better. And we could talk about that another time, but just what you believe in evolution and all that. Who knows? The history books will say otherwise, but
yes, humans have changed. And
yeah.
even studying ancestors from thousands of years ago, they were living to be hundreds of years old, weren't they? I don't know if that is why.
Yeah, because they're eating the correct foods.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100% animal based. That's where you get the most dense nutrition. And in times of the year when animals were less, we weren't as able to hunt them. They weren't as available. So like wintertime comes, animals mostly hibernate, they go and hide. So those times a year when animals were less available to hunt, that's when we stored and saved a lot more plant foods. And that's when we ate more plant foods. So we always got most of our nutrition from animal foods, muscle meat, organs, the blood, fat, bone, everything. And then when we didn't have access to the rest, we would eat more berries, more fruits, more tubers. We would be able to, that's the gathering part. So hunter part and gather part. That's when we started eating more of the plant foods. So we're omnivores. We're capable. You can see in our teeth. We have the canine teeth. We have the flat molars in the back, just like a ruminant animal. So ruminant animals have those rotating jaws, all flat teeth. They're made to grind up the plant food and eat the plant food. So we have both. We have teeth like that, and we have the canine teeth, more pointy teeth to actually break down meat more. So we're omnivores. Technically, we're omnivores, but we've always been carnivore leaning. But in the times where we didn't have the animal foods available, we ate the plant foods. So if you look at how we ate back then and translate that to now, as long as you're meat-based, getting all the most dense nutrition from animal foods, and you can have a little bit of plant foods, that's totally fine. You can have some fruits, some vegetables, some honey. I'd rather stay with the grains because grain is a severe gut irritant, sprayed with all the glyphosates, pesticides, insecticides, and all that. So staying away from grain, it's a big gut irritant. You're going to get a lot of inflammation from that, but it's fine. You can have a little fruit, you can have little vegetables. I think that's totally fine. So with my clients, I start them at carnivore. I work them to carnivore-ish, start incorporating more honey, a little bit of fruit, and then I start working them more whole foods. Then we're always animal-based, but then we start doing, okay, the plant toxicity spectrum. That's something I got to talk about as well. We're going to start with foods on the lowest on the spectrum, mid-spectrum, and then stay away from the high spectrum foods. So then I start opening the diet up more, adding more variety back in. Because most people, honestly, they're going to get really bored just staying mostly meat-based. I love it. I feel amazing from it. It's done amazing for my life. I've seen a significant change, but I have some fruit here and there. I do have honey every single day. And I have vegetables very rarely here and there. But that is how I feel best. That is what's taken my body to the next level. So I teach people how to add more variety back in, have more plant foods to give them that more variety.
Yeah, no grains. You have no grains.
Nope,
right?
no grains.
So
once in a while, so if you're talking about grains, the healthiest, the best to eat grain is going to be organic white rice. Never brown rice. You want to stay away from brown rice.
Really?
Brown rice has too much fiber. Fiber actually blocks your body from absorbing more nutrients. So when you're eating a bunch of your good animal foods and you're also eating a bunch of vegetables, all those vegetables and plant foods that you're eating, the fiber in it is actually stopping your body from absorbing as much of the nutrients as it could have without having all that fiber in you.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter. Soluble, insoluble fiber, it doesn't matter. Fiber just goes straight through you and you don't absorb as much of the nutrition because it is attached to fiber. So yes, you do absorb some of the nutrition from plant foods. And clearly, like people who are vegan, they're still alive, they're still living. Most of them are super skinny and anorexic looking and not really healthy looking, not really too much color to their face, but they are surviving. You can get enough nutrition, but it's not going to be thriving as much as if you were to eat more of an animal-based diet.
I would be curious what their energy is like and their brain fog, if they have any of that too.
Right.
People that don't eat meat, I would be curious if there are other effects.
Yep. So when I was at my skinniest, most malnourished, I was more plant-based. I hardly ate any meat whatsoever. I was actually complete vegan for a time. And that was the most unhealthy I've ever been. Brain fog got even worse. And actually, at first, if you make a change, you go from the regular diet you're eating now, more of a processed food diet, standard American diet, and then you go vegan, you're going to feel better for a time. It's because you're cutting out the crap that's not real food. So you're going to feel better going vegan for a time, but then it's going to catch up to you and you realize, oh shit, this is not a very nutrient dense diet. I'm actually very skinny from this. I'm not getting all the nutrients I need. My skin quality, my texture is not very good. So then you start going more animal based. And then people who are vegan and trying to go animal based, it's like my stomach hurts. I don't feel good when I eat the meat. It's because you just got your body so used to eating just plant foods. It's going to be an adjustment to go back. You got to start slow. You can't just go 100% vegan, then all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to have a pound of steak and expect to feel good. No, your gut has to adjust. We have a microbiome in many parts of our body. There's a microbiome everywhere. There's a good and bad bacteria levels everywhere. So if you're just so used to this way of eating, and then all of a sudden you just make a change, it's not really going to feel too good at first. So you have to adapt to it, like a little bit. If you're going from vegan to animal based, have like 1/8 of a pound a day at first of meat, and then go to 1/4 pound, and do that for a couple of weeks. Then go to maybe 1/2 pound, then a pound. You just really slowly work it up until your body can accept it better.
Start digesting it. And I think something that is important to say, we are running low. So any other points that you think are really important to point out, I'll give you a chance to do that.
Yeah.
About 15
minutes. My basic thing is just staying away from vegetable and seed oils, especially. So I have a big explanation I can say in vegetable seed oils another time, but vegetable and seed oils like sunflower oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, canola oil, margarine, all of it, absolute crap. Those are processed oils. We were never meant to get oils out of plant foods. That's not a good thing. The healthiest oils to cook in, the healthiest fats to have are animal-based fats. You want 100% grass-fed butter or beef tallow, just animal fats to cook in. That's best. If you're going to do plant fats, you want to do coconut oil or avocado oil. Try to stay away from olive oil. So olive oil is still a seed oil. It's better than all the other seed oils out there, but actually at a certain temperature of about 300 to 410 degrees, it actually becomes a carcinogenic. So a lot of people cook in olive oil thinking it's good. It's better than the other seed oils, but it's still not ideal. You're going to do a lot better if you're going to stick with plant fats, coconut oil, avocado oil. Avocado is actually a fruit. And then try actually, if you can, animal fats to cook in. That's going to be more ideal.
Okay. That's good. So one thing I want to bring up is that I think of all the things that people would advise for different diets, the most important diet for you is what feels good to your body, and to learn how to be in tune with what your body takes and what it needs.
Right.
You mentioned that, I know you've mentioned that, this is more for the audience. You've mentioned that people ask you, do I need to have the same diet as you? And you said, right, not if that doesn't make you feel great. You need to do what makes you feel good. So anything about that you want to say about that?
Right. So yeah, someone asked me, they said, do you think everyone should eat just like you? And I said, no, I don't think that. I think if you're truly thriving, you're good. But most people don't know what truly thriving feels like. So like I said, if you're waking up in the morning, not hitting the snooze button a bunch of times, jump out of bed, having crazy energy, high libido, brain clarity, just unlimited, just throughout your whole day, you just feel amazing. Total gut peace, total energy. Just, you feel like you're totally thriving. Things could not be better. If you feel like that and you're eating a standard American diet, you're eating like that, you feel like, and you're eating a standard American diet, it's probably going to catch up to you over time. All of us have different genetics. Some of us can handle eating crappier and still feel good. It's pretty crazy, the differences in people. I definitely can't do that. But if you're thriving, you truly feel like that, you're super lean, super healthy, energetic, amazing stomach peace, you feel good, you look good, I don't really see any need to change anything. But if you don't, and I suspect most people don't feel that way, then I would suggest trying more animal-based nutrition and seeing what it does for you. So true thriving, like most people think, oh, I feel pretty good. Like you just don't know. You don't know what you haven't tried. So you think you feel good, you think you have energy, but still you have no idea what the potential could, like you're here and you could maybe be here if you actually started adjusting your nutrition better and getting to that next level. So a lot of people, they have never experienced what it's like to go from here to here, and they can't really say until they tried something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Just Lenora, that one question that Lenora asked, if you want to expand on that about schedule, the fasting schedule, she's interested in doing that. Yeah.
So the fasting schedule. So start with 1 24-hour fast a week. Once you get good at that and it's a piece of cake, then you can, well, usually after about 12, 14 hours, it starts getting really hard at that point. And then you get past a certain point and then it gets even easier. Same thing with a 48-hour fast. You get to like the 24-hour mark to 30-hour mark. It's super hard. You're really hungry. And then you start getting past that and it's like the hunger goes away. So you got to get used to this. So 1 24-hour fast a week. You can do 1 48-hour fast a week, 1 72-hour fast a week. And once you get good at all those, then you can start going to dry fasting. So
that's 3 weeks, you're saying, right? first week is 24 hours. Next week is
I wouldn't really go that fast. I would do maybe a couple weeks, one
Oh.
24-hour water fast
Okay.
a week. And then I would say maybe a couple weeks after that or so, try one 48-hour fast a week. Try that for 2 or 3 weeks. And then you can start doing a 172-hour fast. Just do it as soon as you feel you can accomplish something like that. So that's the water fasting. And then you can start getting into the dry fasting. So one 24-hour dry fast a week. You can try 2 24-hour dry fasts a week. So one 24-hour dry fast at the beginning of the week, at the end of the week. And then you could do a 1 48-hour dry fast a week. So if you have quite a bit of extra weight to lose, that's going to really do it for you pretty quickly. But be careful. Don't do dry fasting when you're working out in the heat, sweating bullets. That's so dangerous. So plan a dry fast when you know you're going to be in AC or you're not going to be doing very strenuous activity. You can do a workout dry fast, so that's fine. But just don't be out in the heat, baking in the heat, doing something like that. That's actually super dangerous for you. So be careful with that.
Oh yeah, that's good to know. I was doing yard work in my middle of my detox fast, and I noticed I was like ready to pass out most of the time. That's good to know.
And then the rolling 20-hour dry fast. So 20 hours dry fasted, and then a 4-hour rehydration and refeeding window, and then back in the 20-hour dry fast again. So you can rolling do that. So every day you can get the benefits of a 24-hour dry fast almost every single day. And that's going to make fat loss happen even quicker.
Okay. Can you speak about, and Ray, if you have any questions, you can throw it in the chat or pipe up if you have anything. One thing I also thought about, I wanted to ask you is, I know I could probably get this anywhere, but you, I'm sure, have the answers too. I'm just wondering how much protein is healthy for us, gaining or losing weight. And then also, you also have mentioned fiber or amino acids or something. Anyway, if you could break down any of that stuff, that would be helpful to know how much we need.
So rule of thumb, this is a minimum. So most people need to get 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And they say for a man, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, that's minimum to lose weight, to gain and sustain lean muscle mass. And for women, because you guys are made up of a little less muscle, it's 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. So for a man, 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you're 180 pounds, you need 180 grams of protein a day minimum to be, like I said, your body functioning properly, losing weight, maintaining muscle, and getting more muscle. And for a woman, that's probably about 140. If you're 180, you're going to do at least 144, 145 grams of protein a day. So it's just safe to say for everyone, just stick with gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's just easier. And then once you get really lean, you can start doing more of a surplus. So a surplus of up to 60 grams of protein above your body weight. And that's when you're in that surplus, you're really going to be gaining muscle a lot better that way.
Okay.
And then amino acids. So it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people. Most people are not used to eating about half a pound of meat a day, a pound of meat a day, a pound and a half of meat a day. So 1 pound of meat on average is about 100 grams of protein. So a pound and a half, that's about 150 grams of protein. If you're a 180 pound guy, you're still about 20, 30 grams of protein away from that. So you're still not there yet. What you can do to make this easier is amino acid protein powder. So there's really cool products out there like I Am Amino, Fortigen, Optimal Amino, Perfect Amino, MAP. Those are actually amino acid tablets. So aminos are actually the most bioavailable. Bioavailable means most easily absorbed by the body, most usable absorbed by the body, most usable by the body. So it's the most bioavailable protein on the planet. It's from actually a fermented source. So it's 99% usable by the body. You go to the food source. So red meat and eggs are the most bioavailable from a food source. They're about 40 to 50% usable by the body. So the body, it requires energy for the body to break it down. So you lose some of the protein in there. But with amino acids, it's so absorbable, you actually absorb 99% of it. It's crazy.
Okay.
So most protein powders out there in the market, like whey casein protein powders out there, there is so much junk and bullshit ingredients in there. You want to avoid that.
Then, yeah.
Not good. So that huge 25, 30 gram scoop, that big scoop in those regular protein powders, that's only 18% usable protein. That's nothing. You go to the amino acid protein powder, it's 99% bioavailable, usable. So it's a completely different thing. So you're getting more bang for your buck.
I'm so glad you talked about that. Lenora, actually, I think you were the one, Lenora, who asked me about that. And I told you as much as I know, and it wasn't a lot. She says, where do you source? Where do you source?
A source absorbable meat. Okay.
Yeah.
So local, okay. it's a little more expensive, like Whole Foods, Nugget, Sprouts, Publix, places like that could be a little more expensive. But there's cheaper cuts of meat than other cuts. So you could do more like stew meat, chuck roast, rump roast. So the fattier cuts, actually more connective tissues, more tendons in them, are actually better for you than the leaner cuts. They have more fat in them as well. Fat's good. So cheaper cuts of meat. You could also find like local butchers. Go to a farmer's market. Sometimes you can meet really cool butchers at a farmer's market. They can supply you meat. They have a cow farm. Yeah, it's local co-op stores. Online, you can do Butcher Box. That usually has decent deals. 100% grassland beef. That's a good website to find 100% grass-fed beef. Force of Nature meats. Websites like that. But my favorite website is going to be grasslandbeef.com. So cheaper cuts of meat are going to be under $10 per pound. Because if you're having like New York strips and ribeyes, filet mignons, you're going to break the bank. It is not going to be very sustainable staying on this diet. So cheaper cuts of meat.
Half a cow and share it with your friend, right?
Or that, yeah, because you can buy a cow, you can buy half a cow, and then you get all the cuts. You get all the ribeyes and sirloins and New York strips and all that, and you get the cheaper cuts as well. And they give it to you for an average price of all of them. So that's a good way to do it too.
So you guys, I have to cut him off. He has a call in 2 minutes. I just noticed, Tyler, so I have to let you go. But if you two want to stay on here, you can. We can chat a little bit more. I don't know all the answers, but I can help you get in touch with Tyler.
Of course.
And then also I'll post this video and they can reach out to you as well.
Sounds good. And yeah, we could totally do this again. There was more I wanted to share, and if we have another time we can get together and share some more and do more questions. We can absolutely do that. I realize we kind of burned a little short this time. But yeah,
let's do that. We'll do that. We will definitely finish. We'll do a take 2.
Sounds good. Well, I really appreciate the invitation to be on here. I enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Lene and Ray too. Bye.
All right, see you guys. Nice to see you.